Good afternoon, everybody. This is the Pass Ball Show, as always, brought to you by JohnPielli.com. Today's the 10th of January 2018. A lot to get on with the world of sports, talking baseball and sports. And right now, I'm joined by the 2009 American League Rookie of the Year, a two-time All-Star, and a man who has pitched in the major leagues for several seasons, and that's Andrew Bailey. Andrew, John Pielli over in New Jersey. I appreciate you having a couple minutes.
Hey, John, how you doing today? Good, thanks for having me on.
Hey, first things first, Andrew. Just talk about the stuff that you're working on right now.
We have my wife and I are involved with the Miracle League here in Connecticut. We're looking to build a new Miracle League field in East Lyme, Connecticut. So right now we're kind of in the early stages. A lot of fundraising ahead of us, but we're really looking to hopefully provide playing surface for kids with disabilities, and our desire and the fire that we draw from comes from our little girl Teddy, who's 5, and she has cerebral palsy, and so we are always looking out to help different charities, and what's better than building something in your backyard a couple towns away, and be a part of a great project that can lead to all kinds of different leagues and programs for kids of all abilities, and I think it's a much needed space and environment in not only our community but communities around the country for sure. And you think about all the different leagues and programs that are out there, and I think sometimes, not that those kids get passed by, but the availability of programs for kids with disabilities, isn't as plentiful as some other programs may be. So, we're building this field here, and like I said, we're just kind of in the early stages. Just got the plans drawn up and got the okay from the town and the state, and we're looking forward to hopefully raising a lot of money and being able to provide that field for the community.
Now, are you looking at a situation where there either are no neighboring fields around, or it's just an area that, the main reason, obviously, to put a field together is probably because there's not much out there to offer, right?
So the closest Miracle League field is in West Hartford, which is about 45 minutes from where I live. And the fields are they're adaptive fields. They're adaptive fields. So the cost and everything comes from what's actually in the dirt. So the technology and the advancements of technology for kids with disabilities really stems from what's actually underneath the playing surface. So it's the turf length. It's a synthetic turf that's not as long as your normal turf. There's a lot of different layers that actually go into building the field itself. So it's a 125-foot baseball field, and then across the outfield you have lines and stuff for soccer and football, and then next to it would be an adaptive playground. So you have kids from kids that have behavioral issues to kids that are fully quadriplegic in wheelchairs, and there's so many different issues and disabilities, and kids that we can really help out and provide an entertainment and a team atmosphere. And so it takes a lot to build one of those fields because, like I said, the technology is kind of in the dirt, and it makes it suitable for kids with wheelchairs and walkers and standers, and kids that are falling, and any kids that have trouble on their feet or what have you. Whereas if you go to a normal, I shouldn't say normal, but if you go to a local Little League field, you're dealing with infield cuts and regular dirt and bases and different things that sometimes kids have trouble with, or if we can take those out and just have a flat surface with the turf kind of designed for them, then I think it's huge. And the one in West Hartford is an amazing facility. They built theirs in 2009, and the first year they had about 30 kids. The next year they had about 80 kids, and now they're having full seasons with lots of teams and kids coming from all over the state. So hopefully we can build one here near us, and maybe even branch out to different parts of the state, and see what we can do. So we're just looking forward to being a part of that for sure.
Hey, we're joined by Major League relief pitcher Andrew Bailey. Now, one of the things that stands out, obviously, is the potential of this. And I think, through your passion that I'm hearing through your voice, there's a lot of excitement about what lies ahead. This probably has the opportunity to bring in kids not only from your neighboring areas, but I'm sure kids from all around, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Like I said, the one in West Hartford, is really, it draws, we're up kind of on the shoreline in Connecticut. We're about 45 minutes away, and, we've done lacrosse camps and stuff with my daughter out there. So, and they draw from southern Connecticut, northern Connecticut. When this field gets built here, we'll be able to draw kids from, parts of Rhode Island and different parts of the state along 95, down into Fairfield County and, even up north. And it just, it's about, like I said, a lot of, as a parent with a child with disabilities, a lot of your weeks are juggling with school and physical therapy and occupational therapy. And to be able to give not only the child a break, but the family a break to do something a little bit, more fun, so to speak, be involved with a team atmosphere, create relationships with other families that are, dealing with similar issues. And, you really do create a wonderful environment, for the families and the children. And that's what it's really about is, just giving those kids a chance to play. And that's what we want to do.
Now, I tell you, it's outstanding. And, a couple of years ago, the commissioner announced a council for inclusion in Major League Baseball. Have you considered approaching the commissioner's office with your idea and what you're looking to do?
No, I haven't just yet, but I want to see how this one goes. I know David Price had built one, I believe, out in Tennessee, maybe. I know there's a lot of Miracle League fields around the country. It just depends on kind of who's behind it and if they can fundraise enough money to put the field in place. And obviously it's a donated lot of land, and the one that we'll be building will actually be attached to like a high school and grade school that the kids will actually be able to use for recess, for turf space and some different things. So we're making it kind of multi-purpose, but the basis behind it is the technology, like I said, in the AstroTurf and the dirt itself. But as far as building other ones, I don't see why Major League Baseball can't get behind something like this. And when I was out in Oakland, my wife and I we helped build different fields and helped out with challenger leagues and all kinds of different things. So there's a lot of different platforms available, and I think it's great that the commissioner's office is willing to do something with inclusion, and definitely I'm going to look into that. I didn't even think of going that far, but maybe we see how this one runs, and maybe just in every state there could be a few Miracle League fields that can host all kinds of different games.
No, and I tell you, another thing you could add to it, too. Think of the little girl that's been throwing out the first pitch with the robotic arm at all the different stadiums.
Absolutely. Yeah, we could hopefully maybe have her up to throw out the first pitch at our field. That would be tremendous.
Yeah, I'm sure it would be great. But I tell you, there's a lot of things that it could add to. And I tell you, we're in a society where we are looking to give everybody a chance. And pretty much what you touched on, the fact that there's when you're dealing with a child that has a disability and needs a little more attention, there's so many different things that you have to go through in regards to a process just to make sure they're well, make sure that they're kept up on,
Absolutely.
And seeing the doctors and stuff. That sometimes you lose track of simple things like, hey, going out there and playing a game with the other kids. And I tell
100%,
you,
absolutely, and that's 100% why we're doing it. A lot of our my off season and during the summer when we're playing, a lot of times we're juggling PT and different OT sessions in school and and doctor's appointments and stuff, and you kind of lose focus of being a kid, and I think whether it be on weekend or Sunday, whatever, if they can get out there and run around or be part of a team atmosphere and just play a game, whether it be baseball, softball, lacrosse, football, soccer, whatever sport they want to partake in, it just, gives them 30 minutes or an hour of just kind of letting go. And, it's just the enjoyment of being a kid is ultimately what's best,
And once again, John Pielli here with Andrew Bailey, Major League pitcher, the 2009 AL Rookie of the Year. Now, in regards to this off season, I'm going to ask a baseball question now. In regards to what we've seen, I mean, it's an off season that really hasn't moved as well or at the pace of most other off seasons. We're well into the middle of January. There's still a lot of top free agents out there. Last time I checked, it was well over 100. From your mind as a player, what goes through your mind as you're following an off season that happens to be moving so slow?
Yeah, I mean, I think it just, ultimately and eventually, teams are going to want to win. So as a player, I'm not sure kind of what the holdup is with, I'm sure there's, you always know in every sport, as soon as the top dominoes fall, it's a trickle down effect. And I think everyone's kind of looking for somebody to set the market in every position possible. And there are so many talented free agents, and I know in the next couple of years there's some big time free agents, even more so coming available. So I think for market share and that kind of stuff, maybe teams are waiting and players are kind of waiting around, and but ultimately these guys are going to get signed and played because teams are going to want to win and players want to play, and that's the bottom line. But ultimately, your focus just has to be, getting ready for the next season. And a lot of times, I've been on off seasons where I didn't really know where I was going to end up, and you end up signing and going. But if you don't stay ready, then that's not gonna work out for you.
Now, looking back over the last couple of years, you're vying for a spot in certain bullpens year in and year out. Do you find spring training to be a little tougher or a little more demanding for you, considering the positions that you're competing for, as opposed to early on in your career?
Yeah, I definitely enjoy that challenge of competing against guys. I guess your teammates. That's kind of how you got to look at it. Is there's a job to win it, and you got to go win it. And in years past, early on in my career, you knew you had it was just about getting your work in, and the last couple of years have been more about earning a spot, whether it be going to AAA for a month or getting released and signing with a new organization. It's all about staying ready for that opportunity. And last year, unfortunately, the injury bug has just been incredible the last few years for myself, and it's just been a struggle. And for me, I can't control that. I do everything I feel like in my power to put myself in the field, and and we'll make decisions later on. But for me, it's just about staying ready. And when you go to spring training, it's really just about focusing on you and doing what you need to do to get guys out.
And once again, John Pielli joined by Major League relief pitcher Andrew Bailey. Last question. You look at the market for relief pitchers, how it really has changed over the last couple of years. Baseball has kind of transformed. Starting pitchers aren't going as deep into games, so the demand and the importance of having not only a closer, but an eighth inning closer, a seventh inning closer, and in some cases a sixth inning closer. How do you view that as you think about your future and the way the game has changed and the use of relievers?
Yeah, the use of relievers is crazy. I've seen it early on in my career where you had kind of your seventh, eighth inning guy, and starters would go deep, and if the seventh inning guy would get up, and the starter got out of the seventh, and then the eighth inning guy would get up and start throwing. And it's changed, man. Starters don't go as deep, and they found that if you can shorten the game, and you look at some of the bullpens around, and you got guys throwing with high velocity, why wouldn't you want them in to just dominate an inning? So it definitely shortens the game, and for me, it's just my experience, and that's what I kind of fall back onto is my intelligence, my scouting reports, my studying, and I've been out there before, so I understand what it needs to, what you need to do to get ready every day. And I may not throw the hardest, but I sure do know how to get guys out, and teams are aware of that. So for me, I've always been a guy that I just want to win. Bottom line, I've done a lot of different roles in my career, from long relief early on to closing to setting up to mop up. So for me, it's just being a part of you're down there in the bullpen. You're a family within a team. You guys, you're spending tons of time down there. You're in your own little world, and it's 6, 7, 8 guys down there that really are able to bond. And it's nice when guys come up from AAA and they fit right in and fill in for someone or what have you. It's just it's all about staying ready and having each other's back down there.
Hey, for anybody that's listening and it's interested in finding out some more information and potentially contributing to the project you're working on, what would be the best way they could reach out to you?
Just follow me on social media. There's Miracle. Like I said, it's really early in the works. We just got the state and city approval, so we haven't set up anything just yet on social media, and we're still kind of brainstorming on different fundraising ideas and stuff like that. But you can follow my wife and I on social media: Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and we'll keep everybody updated. And as we have events and what have you, we'll keep everyone posted on what's going on. And if not, if you guys, if you're not from New Jersey or Connecticut or what have you, and want to always just remember the Miracle League to donate to. It's an unbelievable organization, and they're always looking to build fields. So just keep that in mind as well.
Hey, listen, Andrew, thanks a lot for coming on the show. Best of luck to you in 2018, and certainly with this project you're working on.
Awesome. I appreciate it, man. Thank you very much.
Yep, take care. That's Andrew Bailey, Major League relief pitcher. He's been in the show for a little while. 2009 American League Rookie of the Year, 2-time All-Star. He's working on a project, the Miracle League, over in Connecticut. And I tell you, we've talked about Major League Baseball taking a step forward in regards to inclusion. And it started with, the commissioner, setting a specific category to make sure that all are included in the game. And, certainly we look at what happened with the World Series last year with Hailey Dawson throwing out the first pitch of one of the games and her doing a tour around all the different stadiums. It's certainly, baseball is something that really should be able to include everybody. And one of the things that kind of touched my heart a little bit while Andrew was talking, you think of having a child that, has a sickness or a disability, and the amount of work that the parents have to do to make sure that they're getting the proper therapy, the proper, doctor's appointments and the checkups and the maintenance and stuff that's needed. And you think of just a baby or a young child and the need and the interest of them still wanting to go out there and live a life and be a kid. And sometimes the basic stuff like going out there and playing sports is something that parents in that situation sometimes don't think it's a possibility. And, the honest truth is, it is. And we are going to see, and hopefully we will see more things such as the Miracle League out there with things that, are accessible to people in wheelchairs, are accessible for kids with disabilities, and give them, an opportunity to have fun. Nobody's asking a kid, a disabled kid that's, 5, 6, 7 years old to go out there and, make it to the major leagues. But how about to have that dream that the same other kids have? When, people are 5, 6, 7 years old, they have that dream of being a professional athlete. And obviously the percentage chance of that happening is not very good. But it doesn't keep kids from having that dream. Stepping in that batter's box saying, hey, I'm Stan Musial, or I'm Ted Williams, or I'm Mickey Mantle, or I'm Joe DiMaggio. And imagining if they had the talent to go up there and be on that big stage. And if you're a child that has a disability or a sickness or a handicap, you should have those same dreams too. Because let's be honest, 99% of those kids that are out there, the healthiest of the healthy kids, aren't going to the major leagues either. So why can't somebody that has a disability have those same dreams and same aspirations and have the same ability to go out there on a playing field and be able to enjoy themselves and have fun? Once again, John Pielli, this is the 10th day of January 2018. The number to call in if you're interested is 732-364-3598. That's 732-364-3598. Anything on your mind in the world of baseball, sports, and unifying America? Story just came out within the last hour or two. A Major League Baseball player's agent was fired over something that, you think if the allegations are true, it looks like a pretty nasty situation. Apparently, a player agent has video cameras installed in his shower and was videotaping several of his clients while they were taking showers. And I tell you, we think of the importance of all the different entities that are involved in an athlete. Think about it, from coaching to people that are around him, that you surround yourself with your cast, whether it's friends, whether it's family. And the agent is the person that helps you get the money, the person that negotiates your contract for you. It is certainly up in a higher echelon when it comes to importance within any athlete's inner circle. So we have apparently an issue where there could be some distrust in the way that this agent has chosen to conduct business. And I tell you, if there's any truth to the fact that he's over there in the shower, or he has a camera in his shower where he is taking, videos or pictures of his clients, in a vulnerable and nude position, I tell you, shame, certainly shame on him. And I hope that there are some repercussions in regards to criminal charges and stuff like that have to be thrown this way. And I hate to throw the extreme worst comparison out there, because obviously the one thing that comes to mind when you think of something like this, and obviously this is taking it to a larger level, is the Sandusky thing in Penn State, where you have kids that are there for a charity organization. Their parents are trusting them in the hands of this man that turns out to be a monster. You wonder, with this person, Jason Wood is his name, an agent fired from his agency and suspended by the MLB Players Association. You wonder how far something like this could go. And maybe the fact that enough people spoke up and this person was terminated from their job, it saves the potential of something even worse happening. And I don't know what this person is capable of. And you know what? I think the person at the same time deserves the benefit of the doubt. It's the world we live in. When allegations are put out there, certainly a person has to own up to them or address them in some way, shape, or form. But they also have the right to be innocent until proven guilty. And I would not understand the logic behind a person deciding to do that, except for the fact that maybe they have some kind of issues going on in their head. And I hope, because I always do hope for the best, that this was just some extreme, weird coincidence or bad series of events. And hopefully this person was not looking to exploit the, players that, by the way, he's representing. And I mean, it doesn't make sense from so many different fronts, if you think about it. This is a person that's being compensated, or he's making commission over his representation of these players. He's representing their interest, but he's going out there and negotiating contracts, setting them up if they're free agents, getting them a new job. But, certain players, if they are up for a negotiation, whether it's through the arbitration process or, down the road to negotiate an extension with a player, or a player that's drafted that's negotiating their first contract, there's a lot that benefits him in regards to needing the support and trust of the players. So you figure out of all of professions, especially in a world of sports, the one that may be the most contingent in regards to the need for trust when it comes to their clients is a player agent. and certainly would apply to all sports, baseball, football, basketball, hockey, soccer. An agent, in order to have a good and constructive and long-lasting relationship with a player, would certainly need to build up trust. I'm looking at this person. He probably is going to have a hard time getting a job being an agent again. How do you explain that? How do you have that known about you? That you had a camera in the shower at your house when you have players showering in your house. And I understand from the point that I just made in regards to trust, you have to build trust. The trust relationship between an agent and a player has to be top of the line. And if it's not, odds are the player is going to be looking for a different agent. But if we're looking at, from this standpoint, you have an agent that has built the trust in at least 7 players, because 7 players have, complained that there's something up with the camera being in his shower. And obviously enough trust has to have been built up in order for the players to trust themselves showering in this guy's house. And listen, I mean, we all have close enough friends that we feel comfortable enough, or close enough family that we can use their shower. But imagine being in anybody's house, having any doubts that somebody may be videotaping you in the shower. And it doesn't matter if it's, a woman against a man against another man, a man against a woman. It's equally wrong and equally creepy. But in the landscape of sexual harassment, the way we're dealing with it today, imagine if this was a case where a man had a camera in their shower and was videotaping a woman in a shower. This would be a national story. This would be right on the top of Fox News and CNN and MSNBC. It wouldn't be just a sports story. It would be up there with the likes of a Harvey Weinstein. So, hopefully, we find out a little more information about this, but obviously, certainly a bad series of events happened here. And obviously, my role has to play devil's advocate, saying that all things have to be balanced, and the man is right. It has the right to his own defense, has the right to say that he wasn't guilty of this, has the right to deny the allegations, and has the right, if charged, to defend himself with a lawyer in court in front of a judge with a jury. So he has the right to defend himself. But I tell you, it's another one of these stories that come out and you just first of all, it's just weird, everything involved in it. Why he would have a camera in his shower and be videotaping players that he's representing. And I would say, just for the fear of getting caught, not only from the criminal standpoint of it, but getting caught and having players decide that they don't want you representing them, that's going to be a nice shot at his wallet, a nice, considerable amount of income he's going to be losing. So it just doesn't make sense on so many fronts. And I hope there is more information about this, because there's so many things about this particular story that just don't make a lot of sense. Certified player agent Jason Wood has been fired from his post as the head of the baseball division of Career Sports Entertainment Agency and suspended by MLB Players Association. According to Jeff Passan and Robert Murray, he stands accused of using a hidden camera on his own clients. It just doesn't make any sense. And there will be, of course, some more details about this story. But I tell you, it's something that I felt the need to address, because it's it's a weird situation, a very weird story. As we hit the halfway point here in the Pass Ball Show. Once again, John Pielli with you. Number is 732-364-3598. That's 732-364-3598. Talking about more weird stuff in regards to the world of sports. All our quote-unquote MLB insiders, led by John Paul Morosi, but also Ken Rosenthal and a good amount of other well-distinguished and trusted journalists, were reporting today that a trade between the Pittsburgh Pirates and the Houston Astros was just about done. And it looked like Gerrit Cole was on his way to Houston. And all of a sudden, Jeff Luhnow, running the Houston Astros, flat out denies it. Says there's nothing going on. Says there is no trade. So what it reminds me of, and there's a couple different points I'm going to touch on in regards to this. You think of the Mets a couple of years ago in 2015. Carlos Gomez being traded for Wilmer Flores and Zach Wheeler. It looks like it's happening in the middle of a game. The reports start to come out before the game, and within the first couple innings, Wilmer Flores is the starting shortstop for the Mets. He's playing there. He's still out in the field. So what are you waiting for? You're waiting for, at some point, to have that whole, all right, you're going to take him out of the game because he's been traded, the hugs to the teammates, maybe a little bit of ovation from the fans, and he goes on his merry way. Obviously for the reason, hey, if he's been traded, you don't want to risk that player getting hurt. So I think of that. I think of the whole process of that night. And, at the end, Sandy Alderson's approached by the writers. He knows he's got to address this situation. He says there's no trade and there will be no trade. So somewhere along the lines, there was a report that had confirmed a trade had been agreed upon between the Mets and the Brewers. And that makes, in that case, some of the journalists look bad because we live in a day and age of fake news. I define fake news as anything that is reported that you don't want to hear. But we know about fake news, how it exists, and there's stories that aren't true, that are being reported as if they are facts, when they may be opinions, they may be fabricated, they may not even be true at all. So I've been looking at baseball and transactions and stuff like that, and we really haven't seen up to this point anything that has been reported that has been fictitious. Yes, we have those 15-year-old kids that puts, MLB in front of their last name and all of a sudden considers himself an insider when they don't do the work of an insider, when they don't work for anybody, when they don't have the information that regular people that are reporting in the world of baseball have. And yes, they throw out some crap, but you're able to identify frauds when you see and hear a fraud. We haven't seen it on the national level yet, to a point where you have very well-respected journalists that have to say or insert a correction, say, listen, what I reported before doesn't look like it's going to happen. Now, was I given bad information? Was I speaking to somebody who I thought was trusted to give me the proper information, and in the end, they didn't? Could there be somebody, let's say somebody close to a John Paul Morosi, that fed him or gave him some information about the Justin Verlander deal to the Houston Astros? And maybe it was a person that he felt or believed enough as a source to trust in this particular deal? I don't know. But I think we're dealing right now, for the first time, a situation where there's baseball news being reported. It looked like Gerrit Cole to the Houston Astros was a done deal. It was official. We're waiting on the official announcement from the Astros and the Pirates. And all of a sudden, you're like, wait a second. This doesn't look like it's true. So you look at this and, I don't know. Are we on to fake news in regards to baseball reporting? No. And I think anybody is entitled to a mistake. I could get some information, report it out there, and then realize that information is wrong and issue a correction. In fact, I'll throw a correction for my show from yesterday. I referred to Bill Russell 3 times as Bill Walton. when I was talking about the great Celtics teams. When I was speaking about it, I probably thought I was saying Bill Russell, but I was saying Bill Walton. So the human element comes in regards to everything. We all make mistakes. Even the best of the best make mistakes. But I will say a very weird situation in regards to, the reporting of this trade. Usually when, the momentum of a deal moves on through the big-time reporters and the big-time insiders, and they're all confirming. They're all saying, yes, I hear that this is going to happen. You very seldom see it go the other way and say, wait, it doesn't seem like it's going to happen. It doesn't seem like it is as true anymore. But I think it's something that's worth considering in a fake news world that we live in right now. Maybe baseball, potential trades, transactions. You wonder if that area of journalism and reporting is starting to get polluted too. And obviously we would need to see more examples of this to say that we're on to something. But I tell you, this Gerrit Cole trade was confirmed by so many legitimate and trusted baseball reporters and journalists. Was it a deal that was going to happen and somebody changed their mind? You're not even really getting that indication. All of a sudden you're just hearing, no, there's not going to be a trade. It's kind of a weird situation. Once again, John Pielli, Pass Ball Show, 732-364-3598. That's 732-364-3598. Be on for a couple more minutes. I do got another message for America. Last thing I did want to touch on in regards to sports. Of course, Alabama wins the national championship Monday night. Very exciting game against Georgia. They end up winning it in overtime. Another national championship for Nick Saban. Alabama will go on their tour as the college football playoff national champion. But there's been another story that has happened, and if anybody that's followed the UCF team, they've gone out there in Central Florida, finished an undefeated season, and missed out in regards to the Bowl Championship Series. They were not in the playoffs. So when it comes down to it, they don't have the opportunity to claim a legitimate national championship. I spoke yesterday about the disputed championships that existed years upon years upon years. And we used to have games that were set. Let's say the number 1 team is playing the number 5 team, and the number 2 team is playing the number 3 team. And both the number 1 team and the number 2 team happen to be undefeated. The 2 team beats the 3 team, and the 1 team beats the 5 team. The number 2 team could claim that they were national champions. There were a lot of scenarios that happened in college football history that led to that. And that's why there were disputed champions. And sometimes more than one team claimed themselves as national champions when they didn't necessarily get the opportunity to play each other. You do have a little bit of a disputed situation here, but the way the Bowl Championship Series and the college football playoffs have been set up, it's been more clarified in regards to who the actual national champion is. Georgia won their game. Alabama won their game. Georgia beat Oklahoma. Alabama beat Clemson. So those were the top 4 teams, and then the top 2 teams played each other for the national championship, with Alabama beating Georgia. That technically should make Alabama the national champion. Well, there's another team here that was on the outside looking in. They had a chance to play a bowl game. They beat a very good Auburn team, an Auburn team that has beaten some very top teams themselves. So there actually is, if you think about it, a legitimate dispute over who the national champion is this year. Now, is it resolved? Yes. consensus will tell you, or conventional wisdom will tell you, that it is Alabama. They are the national champion. But if you are the University of Central Florida and you celebrated your win over Auburn, it wasn't like they played a bowl game against some crap team that they were expected to beat by a mile. A lot of people expected Auburn to win that game. So the fact that they beat Auburn shows that they probably do deserve to hang with the top of the top. There's a billboard out there basically inviting Alabama to play UCF. How about a home and home? Now, obviously, it's something that won't happen, but it does make me think of old-time boxing. And obviously, boxing is not what it used to be, especially in a heavyweight division. And I tell you, if I was doing my show in the late 1980s or the 1990s, we'd be talking boxing all the time. There was excitement because you had contenders that were challenging contenders, and you had some of the toughest fighters all fighting at the same time, all wanting a piece of each other. So to make the boxing reference, why can't UCF say, hey, let's challenge Alabama? I mean, in a world of boxing, that's what would happen. Alabama would be the champion, and UCF, maybe, hey, they're moving up. Maybe they're the number one contender, or maybe the number two contender. Maybe they deserve a little bit of a fight, a little bit of a battle. The sad thing about it, once the season ends, so you got the graduates that graduate, you got new players that come in, sometimes coaches change, and it's a different type of situation. So the one team that you were talking about that existed one year, all of a sudden turns over and is something completely different. But we'll look back on this year, and we certainly will remember the top teams that existed in college football. The Alabama-Georgia game, which was a very good game, extremely highly rated. But there'll also be the what could have been in regards to UCF having a perfect season and beating Auburn in their bowl game. Once again, John Pielli, Pass Ball Show. Was thinking about a little boxing, so we'll play the training theme song for Mike Tyson's Punch-Out again. As we're moving on, do want to thank Andrew Bailey for being part of the program. Major League relief pitcher, 2009 American League Rookie of the Year, two-time All-Star. Talking about something that he is doing, building a field potentially in Connecticut, which is going to help underprivileged kids and, handicapped and disabled kids, give them a chance to play and a chance to have handicapped accessible fields. And I tell you, it's something that I think is pretty special. And I hope to see it happen, not only throughout that area, but how about all through the country? Allow our underprivileged and handicapped and disabled and sick kids, give them the opportunity to go out there in the field and compete and have fun. Moving on, spoke yesterday about a touching story about a young girl that ends up losing her life, a little battle with, I believe it was cancer. I don't think the story confirmed 100% exactly what her illness was. But bottom line, she was told she was terminally ill, only had a year or a couple of years left, and decided to take some notes and put some things in perspective in regards to the world that we live in. And there's so many things that you could touch on and think about in regards to stuff that isn't right, but also stuff that we pay attention to that we shouldn't necessarily pay attention to. Now, there's drama. Drama exists in entertainment. Sports are entertainment, so if you're a fan of sports, you certainly have some sort of interest in drama to some point. And I've always said that we look at entertainment as one thing. It's kind of a hiding away or a temporary break that we take from the real world and problems that exist in our own society, our own country, in our own world. But then there's the other side of it where we say too much focusing on things that may really not be that important is not necessarily constructive. So I see a little bit of a divide there. Now, I applaud entertainment, especially in the world of sports, whether it's, whether you're talking about music, whether you're talking about movies, television series, comedies, whatever it is that you go, whether you turn on a TV or go see somebody in person that is performing for you, gives you a great escape from any problems that you're dealing with either personally or on a national level. If you think of the country and you either love or hate the president, or you have a fear that we may be going into nuclear war with North Korea, or the terrorism that exists throughout our country, whether it's domestic or foreign terrorism, and there's always the fear of where's the next shooting going to be? Where's the next bombing going to be? Innocent people who used to feel like they were safe are not so safe anymore. So I think it's a time where it's more important, or just as important as ever, to find something that could take you away temporarily from it. Our problems are always going to be there. We're going to have to deal with them, no matter whether they're personal problems or problems that exist as citizens of this nation. But entertainment gives us the opportunity to clear our minds. And I always think, hey, if I put a good movie on, like I was before the show, I put on Superbad. Happened to be flipping through the channels it was on. I was like, you know what? I just want to put my feet up and just get into this movie and forget about everything that I'm thinking about right now. And I was like, wait, you know what? We've got a show coming up, so we're going to have to turn Superbad off. But, the role of entertainment has always been something that can keep us, occupied or keep us distracted when it comes to other things that we have to deal with. Going back to the days of Abbott and Costello, going back to, the origins of entertainment as it existed in the 1920s and 30s, and what it's parlayed into now with so many different opportunities, so many different options, so many different things that you could turn on. You don't even have to watch television anymore. You don't even have to watch a computer. It could be a little mobile device, and you could be able to stream just about anything that you want. So my question was that, why aren't more people happy? I mean, entertainment now, the options that exist in the world of entertainment, you could watch any sport at any moment. You don't have to wait for the game of the week anymore. You can watch anything that you want. There's something there that can entertain you at any waking second. So, going back to what Holly Butcher was talking about in regards to the statements that she was making, knowing she didn't have that much time left. We do spend a lot of time on things that are artificial in regards to our looks, our appearances, what we look like from a person that's looking at us afar. Somebody that may say, hey, that person looks like they have some money. They look like they are successful. They look like they are pretty well off. Is that appearance that important? In other words, if somebody just looked average and ordinary, how about the looks of me? I'm not obviously enhanced or have done anything to make me look anything more than average and ordinary. But what is the difference between somebody that gives you that appearance with the extra makeup on, with the hair done a certain way, wearing whatever it is that they're wearing to say that you may think that they're more well off than they really are. I just think there's so much that we could focus on to help each other as opposed to trying to one-up each other. And that's been the human nature element that we've been battling throughout our existence. It goes back thousands and thousands of years when we think of different things that we try to do to say that, hey, we are better than that other person. Or it's the rhetorical two guys with the club next to each other competing over a gorgeous woman. One's going to hit each other in the head a little bit harder to win the affection of the young lady. There's a little bit of a difference between competition, which is human nature, and there's also how much of it is a waste of our own time. In the end, I think we have to look at the constructiveness of what it is that we're saying and doing. If we have a conversation that is focused on gossip and slander and negativity, there's nobody in that conversation that grows from anything positive. If you have a conversation about sporting events or television series or musicians or songs, those are fine. There's nothing wrong with that kind of conversation. Does every conversation have to be about ideas? Well, I think you should have a conversation or two each day that involves ideas. When two people are thinking deeply about something, it brings out the best in both people. You know, there's been a saying of, all right, there's people that are people-oriented, people that are event-oriented, and people that are idea-oriented. I don't think there's anything wrong with having a combination of all three. We have, as a human element to us, a competitive fire where we are trying to compare ourselves to the next person. Whatever profession that you're involved in, you want to be the best you can at that profession. So that means you are, in fact, competing against other people that do a similar thing. In a world of sports, there's people that are competing to be on the professional or national level of what they see on TV. They want to be that person. So at some point, it's going to be either their job or the person's job that's on TV. Same applies to all levels of entertainment. So people orientation, though we want to dismiss it, and I think we should dismiss it when it comes to nonsense and when it comes to things that are completely unconstructive. The competition brings some need to people orientation. Event orientation, like I said, is very important when it comes to keeping your mind away from negativity. And you think of, like I said, the fear of terrorism, the fear of nuclear war, getting tired of hearing conversation positively or negatively about the president. You want to just get away from that. Go watch a football game. Go watch a baseball game. Go watch a concert. Go watch a television series. There's nothing wrong with event orientation as a means to get away or take a little bit of a break for what's going on in the real world. So sometimes we think, all right, idea-oriented people are the only ones or have this distinct advantage over anybody else. I really think that the most balanced people will have a little bit of all three orientations when it comes to, you know, what type of ideas, what type of things that they focus on. You got to focus on people in regards to competition, no matter what profession you have or what it is that you do. Events keep you distracted or from being preoccupied with what is going on in the real world, or it gives you a temporary break. And of course, you know the positivity of coming up with ideas, making things better, having a completely constructive conversation. Pass Ball Show will be back with you tomorrow. Big thanks to Andrew Bailey, Major League relief pitcher, 2009 Rookie of the Year, two-time All-Star, joining the program. And if you follow him on social media, you get a chance to find out exactly what's going on. Looking for the miracle cure over in Connecticut. They're putting together a sports complex, which is going to help and assist handicapped kids, sick kids, disabled kids, giving them the opportunity to play sports just like everybody else. We'll be back with you tomorrow, 6 to 7 p.m., right here on Periscope, Facebook Live, and on demand on YouTube. God bless you, and as always, I'll see you on the other side.